Hey everybody, welcome back. Dr. J from Dr. J Does Stuff, and our series continuing on So You Want, or How to Pass Your DOT Medical Exam. And this one is called So You Want to Be a DOT Medical Examiner, like me. And like about 37,000 of us around the country that do this really weird sliver of the medical profession. Anybody that's thinking about doing that, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's involved, what risks you're going to take, and how do you even start? Well, there's courses that are out there that will take you through all the rules and how to pass my DOT exam. You just put that into Google. You'll find a couple places out there that do it. They're not that expensive, but it's hard to. Where do you begin, right? It's hard to start this process because, as we talked about in other videos, this information is kind of black box. The FMCSA is a little bit close to the vest about the information, and there's a couple of companies out there that have culled the information, put it in a really organized in a really great way, and it kind of takes you through all the rules, ultimately leading to the kind of questions that you're going to see on the exam. So let's first talk about, well, who can be a DOT medical examiner? There's only 5 professions. It's chiropractor, medical doctor, DO, which is a doctor of osteopathy, physician's assistant, and nurse practitioner. Those are the only 5 that even can sit the test. So years ago when I found out about this, and I was getting a little older, and was a chiropractor, it's a very physical profession, and I was thinking, yeah, I want to keep working, I want to keep helping people, but I can't keep beating the crap out of myself. And so I thought, okay, well, this actually would be a really cool thing to do. It's not very physically demanding, and okay, great. How do I sign up for this? And everybody was like, whoa, slow your roll. It's not as easy as you think. First of all, you have to be one of those 5 just to apply to the FMCSA in order to be able to sit the tests. And there's testing centers all over the country, and you can through the FMCSA you can find out who those are, and you study on your own, and you have to have 70% to pass, and you sit the test. The test takes about 2 hours. It's all done on computer, and you're going to get 120 questions, and 20 of those questions are either bullshit questions or they're questions, test questions that they're thinking about introducing, but they throw them in to see, if most everybody gets them right, then the question must be a good question, or maybe it's too easy, or if most people get the question wrong, then maybe the way the question is worded. So they're analyzing those 20 questions. The problem is that you won't know which questions are test questions and which ones are real. So those 20 questions don't count towards your final score. But the frustrating part is that, like I said, you won't know. So you'll sit there and you look at a question and you'll be like, oh my God, I thought I was prepared. All right, I'll come back to that question because you have that ability. And then of course it racks your brain. You get about one minute-ish to answer every question. So the clock is ticking, and being super prepared, being over prepared is very helpful. A couple of the courses that are out there, they have a ton of sample questions, which is really good because after you've got the material, it's such a drinking from the fire hose amount of information, everything from head to toe. It honestly took me about 6 months of studying before I even sat the test. And then when I took my test for the first time, I just thought, you know what? I know how my brain works and testing works. It's just good if I just do it once, even if I don't pass, I can take it again. I think you have to wait like a week or something. And yes, there are a limited amount of times you can take it, but I just know that if I get the fear of the unknown out of the way, and I'll just go take it one time, cost $100 or whatever to take it, and I passed the damn thing. So I actually did really well. So I was surprised because when you haven't, the first time you take it, you haven't seen any patients in this capacity. and there's so much information. But I passed it, and I got my certificate, and the certificate's good for 10 years, which is great. So you don't have to take that stupid test again for 10 years, but in year 5, you have to do a refresher course. And Team CME is who I use. They offer a refresher course. I think Team CME, and CME stands for Certified Medical Examiner. So that's what you become. And I think they also have a prep course or a training course as well for brand new and for the 5-year refresher. And then you have to get on what's called the National Registry, which is part of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. They have a national registry, and you get a national registry number that goes on the patient's medical card. So your information personally is going to be your name, your signature, your medical license, and your registry number. And no medical card is valid without a registry number, and anybody can go to the FMCSA website or the National Registry website and look up your national registry number and know that you're legit, because a medical card that doesn't have that on it is completely illegal and invalid. So sometimes people will call up and say, hey, are you actually on the yeah, and I give them my number, and they log on and go, oh, there you are, okay. So that way just the driver knows that you're legit. Or if you're working with companies, which is great because they'll send you a bunch of their drivers so that earn their trust, they're going to want that information as well, and they're going to vet you and know that you're on the National Registry. So you study, take the test, you pass the test, minimum score is 70, and then you get your National Registry number a day or two later, and now you're off to the races. And you throw up a shingle, or maybe you work for somebody, or you go around, talk to trucking companies and say, hey, I'm a DOT medical examiner, I'd really like to do all your stuff. So you start seeing patients, and they come in, and you go through the exam process, and you complete it, and then you sign their medical card. Or if you use a company, 3B Exams, Rich Fry is the owner of that. They're a third-party administrator for the FMCSA, so everything's done on computer, which is really great. There's no having to have paperwork. It's all secure. It's all in the cloud. Rich himself is a great guy and really fast at getting back to you if you have any questions. You have to submit your information to the FMCSA within 24 hours of the exam being completed, or you're going to be in violation, and the FMCSA tracks that. So if the date of the exam is today, which is June 18th of 2026, and if it's not in their system by midnight tomorrow, then you're not in compliance, and they get kind of fussy about that. Nice thing about using somebody like 3B Exams is they do it for you. Once the exam is done, they batch everything at the end of the day, and they send it straight on up to the federal government for you. Which is great, because you do the exam and then you forget about it. If you ever need to go back, driver says, I lost my card, I need another card, whatever, then, or I need my long form, it's easy, just what's your last name, whatever, date of birth, and you go in, there you are, you can print it out, you can email it to them, whatever. So that system is really efficient, but a lot of places still just do it by paper, which to me is dumb, but that everybody does it their own way. But either way, so once you get through everything, study, take the test, pass it, get on the National Registry. Now you got your National Registry number. Then you start seeing patients, and you're good for 10 years with your registry, and 5 years you got to do the refresher. Now, what about risks? So one of the things that I didn't know, and I've talked about in a couple of videos, is that this weird slice of the medical profession, you really don't have a lot of protection, or maybe any protection, because your malpractice insurance isn't going to cover you or protect you. If a driver gets into an accident and they find that you made a mistake in your decision making, then now you're going to be responsible for that driver and for the accident. And it could be criminal, it could be civil, and of course, these accidents are massive, and it's millions of dollars. You can't afford that. What are you going to do? Sell your house, go live under a bridge in a cardboard box? No, I'll use my insurance. What insurance? Can't use your malpractice insurance. You didn't diagnose them, you didn't treat them. malpractice insurance will throw their hands in the air and walk away from you. Well, it's a paperwork job, really, right? Errors and omissions. So people say, well, what is E&O insurance? Errors and omissions. Well, that's if you close on your house, let's say, and it's 123 Main Street, but the closing mortgage paperwork says 124 Main Street. And then the banker says, we can't close on this house. The paperwork's wrong. Well, I just moved out of my house. People are moving into my house right now. What am I supposed to do? Well, they have errors and omissions insurance they have to put you in a hotel, take care of whatever your losses are, they have to cover it. So it's a paperwork job. Well, this is a paperwork job, really. So I called an errors and omissions company, and in fact, I've called many of them, and they say, okay, so what do you do? And I explain it to them, and they say, okay, so you're a doctor. I said, yeah, but I'm not diagnosing, I'm not treating, I'm just evaluating, and it's paperwork. And the paperwork goes to the federal government. I just can't make mistakes on the paperwork. Oh, okay, well, this does sound like a errors and omissions insurance kind of thing. What's the worst thing that's going to happen in your job? What's the biggest check we're going to have to write? And I said, well, somebody could be dead on I-25. Click. That's the end of the conversation. So no errors and omissions insurance company will cover you either, as of the making of this video. So you're really your ass is in the wind. And that's really one of the realities of this, is that if one of your drivers gets into an accident, DOT is going to do an investigation, and they're going to investigate three things. They're going to investigate, was it driver error, mechanical error, maybe the brakes went out, or medical. And medical is you. They're going to subpoena your records, and they're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And if you had something on the paperwork that you missed, and that was the medical reason that caused the driver to become incapacitated, that's your ass. And you have no insurance to cover you. So think really careful about wanting to be a DOT medical examiner. We're kind of a weird bunch of cowboys and cowgirls out here doing this job, because who the hell would want this job? I mean, think about that. When I treat a chiropractic patient, or somebody treats a medical patient for coughs, colds, and sore holes, I have malpractice insurance, right? I still try to be a good person, a good doctor, make good clinical decisions and help those people, but I still have a safety net. Not in this profession. But if we don't have medical examiners, the whole trucking industry stops, which means the economy stops. Within 3 days, there would be anarchy. No gas, no food, no insulin, nothing. So we've got to have CDL medical examiners in order to keep the trucks moving, in order to keep our national economy going. But the whole thing linchpins on the DOT medical examiners like me, and like the other 37,000 of us that are out there. So, if it's something that you really want to do, you really have a passion for helping people, this is the Super Bowl in medicine of using your medical skills in your brain and helping people. But there's a huge risk on the other side of it, and that usually scares most people away. So you want to become a DOT medical examiner. All right, well, now you know the process, now you know the risks, and that usually is where most people turn and go out the door. But if you still, after this video, think this is for you, well, then welcome to the team. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit that bell for future notifications and help keep the channel alive. We really appreciate it. We're here to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. You can handle the truth. So thank you all for supporting the channel. We appreciate it. Be safe.